Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome back to Mindy and the Mic from Stigma to Connection. Today's interview is someone that really knows how to perform under pressure. I got to talk to Tony Adams. He is also a co-business owner of Adams Athletics and athlete entrepreneur who gave me 45 minutes of his time to share his incredible journey. We talked a lot about his mental health hurdles that he had to face while in college football and the NFL. We talked about the pressure of the NFL, and he opened up about maybe potentially doing substances while he did play during his career. One thing I really did appreciate is how openly he talked about his faith and about his belief in God, and that really transformed his playing. And yeah, you'll just see how great of a conversation this was. And he even got to be the podcaster host for about 2 or 3 minutes, asking me some questions about fame and what I want to do and just how I would react in fame as well. I really appreciate how open he was and how passionate he was about mental health and about being passionate about what you love. So I hope you enjoy Tony Adams. I'm Mindy, and I have a microphone. So this must be Mindy and the Mic from Stigma to Connection. Let's have a conversation. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome to Mindy and the Mic from Stigma to Connection. And today on Mindy and the Mic, we have an incredible guest. We have Tony Adams, a Super Bowl champion with the New England Patriots in 2018. Tony's journey to top of the football world is a testament to his hard work, resilience, and mental health toughness. But his story doesn't just stop there. He's also a successful business owner and co-owner of Adams Athletics. And he's just a successful entrepreneur where he's channeling the same determination and leadership skills that made him who he is today. And Tony, just my first question for you is, how did you get into the NFL world, and what's your journey with football?
So I grew up being a fanatic, a total fan favorite of tennis. My favorite athlete in the world was Roger Federer and Rafael Nadal. Those are my two top ones. And that's because my mama was a tennis fan as well.
Nice.
I ended up being, it was cool. She brought me into tennis. I was 2 years old with a racket, swinging terrible, but was on the court. My mom wanted me to play. Then what I soon realized was that I was a chubby kid. You know what I'm saying? I was very, very chubby. I loved to eat. My parents loved to feed me. I was okay with it. I was happy, and I was still healthy. And so what I realized at some point, I was like, I'm getting a little too big to play this sport. Not because I was, tired or whatever. I just saw Rafael Nadal and Roger Federer, and they didn't look like me. It didn't matter that I was black or white. I was just kind of chunky. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so the best transition I could make based off my size and my stature, you know how when you're a bigger person, you're naturally big boned. That's what my mama would tell me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And so football was those people, they looked just like me. And I love sports. It didn't matter what sport I was playing. I loved it. Basketball, tennis, kickball, whatever. You know what I mean? My dad was an athlete. He was a two-time national championship wrestler. My mom,
wow.
Yeah, he was that. That's who I got a lot of my athleticism. Well, really, what God planted in my DNA and my bones through my family and through my father. But his work ethic came down in the gene pool, and so being an athlete, just loving sports, I knew I was going to find something that fit me, and football was one of those sports. Now, my first practice, I was god awful. I was terrible. I was really, really bad. And that's because I had no idea what I was doing. I started in 7th grade. I played tennis up until I was 12 years old. And I was successful here and there, but I was always losing in like the semis. I won one tournament, which was really cool. I cried about that one as well. That's how happy I was about that one. I was like 11 years old crying about a win. But football came into my life when I was in 7th grade. And I ended up going to this middle school, high school thing, and they had a football team that allowed me to play. I was trying to play football a little earlier, but I even was too heavy to play football from ages 7 to 10, there was a weight limit. I couldn't even play that because how
Oh,
big I was. So I
I
couldn't
didn't know
play until
that.
I was 12. And when I played, I was terrible, but I just stuck with it. And then the rest is history.
Yeah, yeah. So then what was your college? Did you play football in college, I'm assuming?
Yes, I played at North Carolina State University from 2014 to 2017.
And what was that experience like?
It was amazing. My whole life, I always felt like the underdog. And this is going to sound cliche, but the good thing about being an underdog is that there is no expectations for you.
Hmm.
Like you're not expected to come and change the world. You're expecting to be a supportive person, whether like you're second string, third string. And that's how I was recruited. I knew I was going to be a guy that they were going to count on probably my sophomore, junior year. They could see potential in me to develop. But for some reason, God had allowed me to develop fast.
Yeah.
And then I think I just was put it in the right environment, in the right situations, at the right time. And everything just kind of struck gold when I was young, 18 years old. Another part was I graduated early from high school, so I had the opportunity. So I was always playing. Like I ended up starting my freshman year, starting 9 games. Worst
Wow.
dreams of my life. You said what?
Oh, I just said, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, terrible dreams before games. I would have nightmares of like giving up big plays because I knew who I was going against was going to get drafted. That, you know what I'm saying, within the next 3 months. And I just popped out of high school. You know what I'm saying? I was a very young pup. So I'd have nightmares before games, but then that kind of fear made me play just at a whole different level. It's like the fear fed me in the most positive way it could, especially in that kind of game. I benefited from it. And then I ended up playing pretty well my freshman through my senior year, was team captain my senior year. Obviously
Wow.
had a lot of fun off the field, built a lot of really good relationships because of, you know how roommates are, you know how boys are, you know what I'm saying?
Boys be boys.
So
I get it.
you feel me? And now we boys for life. if that, and that's one of the biggest things that I took away from the whole experience was that
Yeah.
I had friends forever. Like I got friends that I text to this day, and it's because of the turmoil. It's not an easy feat. And you do it with people that are all suffering through the same thing, that all want the same goal. So I was able to build incredible relationships with peers, not as much with coaches, but I still had fun.
So you were relatively young then when you went to play college football, since you graduated early from high school, right? How old were you when you were a freshman?
When I was a freshman, I was 18 years old.
Okay.
And
Still,
I
though.
did I was a little younger than like the average draftee.
Yeah.
I was 22. It's a great point.
Yeah. So then, was there any challenges like going from playing college to being in the NFL?
Oh my gosh. Too many.
Yeah.
Too many. Being successful in college. It's funny. I was the underdog coming into college, but coming out of college, I felt like I was the big dog. So that was a battle within my own head, is that like I have to live up to my performance in my previous years. And the biggest challenge was making sure that my head didn't get too big.
Yeah.
And I actually lost that challenge.
Yeah.
I did not succeed there. And it was because you're 22 years old.
Yeah. That's relatively young.
You're still young. Like you're still immature. And then that's and what immaturity do you have is just the emotional immaturity. You know what I'm saying? You get entitled because you've done something. You've only been on the earth for 2 seconds, and now you feel entitled because you did 2 things. And so you know what I'm saying? So I caught wind of that, and I felt that. And what it did, that's when it really started into a downward spiral of who I was and what I wanted to be. And then the loss of identity, because in that process to go to the NFL, my big dog status was not the perception to everybody. Yeah. It was only the perception to me. So everybody still didn't think that I was the caliber of player when I
Mm.
did. And it really tore me apart trying to figure out what's going on, what's happening. And so
Mhm.
that was the hardest part of my transition, was transitioning and thinking that I was going to be like a draft pick, be on a team, get paid all this money, and then it really all falling through. None of it really happening. And I had to figure out how to get it a different way. But that's when God really came into my life and figured and told me that this is the best way to do it. Because throughout that struggle, you really understand how bad things can get or how bad things can feel.
Can you tell me the differences of environments from like college to NFL? I can't even imagine just the jump up or the pressure or the projection that you have all this pressure on you. And like you
Yeah.
talked about identity too.
And that's what it is. It's the pressure surmounts and the room for error gets smaller. You can't make too many mistakes, depending when you're drafted.
Yeah.
And that's because opportunity is small when everybody and their mama want to play football.
Yeah.
And that is one of the hardest parts, is that you feel the pressure. So then, when you feel pressure, when you feel a certain sense, when you don't really know if you have support or not, if you're not sure, if you can fall backwards and someone catch you,
Mm-hmm.
it kind of makes you tense in a way. You don't play as free. You don't compete with a different mindset. And so that the biggest difference is the pressure, because you don't have the safety net. Like you weren't getting cut in college. You're getting cut in the NFL if you fart the wrong way. You know what I'm saying? You feel me? So so
I feel you.
that was the biggest difference.
Yeah. And then how would you handle yourself during that pressure, whether in college or in the NFL? Like, would you do anything on your downtime? Would you just hang out with friends? Would you say some of the ways that you coped per se were good or bad?
Great question. Yes. Oh wow. And a better question on the back end of that one, a little tail end.
Yeah.
Yes, good and bad for sure. Because in college, the good was I love music. I grew up, my brother and my two brothers, they love music too, and they produced. So they made beats, was an instruments, DJ'd. So it was already naturally going to just come that, like, hit me as a bystander. And I made beats throughout my high school career. And then I just took that on to college. And the beautiful thing about NC State is their library was great for education, but it had beautiful music studios, like little booths that you can kind of rent out as a student.
Mm-hmm.
And we would spend a lot of time in there, a lot of time in there. So that was a place that I can cope and build even more relationships, doing something artistically with your teammates and your roommates. It definitely does build a great bond with those guys. And then sharing your artistic ways and, backgrounds and stuff, people from Atlanta. So it was really cool. The bad ways is that we were not afraid to have fun. You know what I'm saying? Like, in many ways. So we knew our status, being what we were able to do, what God had blessed us with, and what we were able to accomplish as a team. We were always a pretty good team. I went to bowl games every year, like fans, 50,000 fans at every game. So we took advantage of that, being young, 18 to 22 years old. But a lot of people didn't even ID me to go in the bars because of who we were. So
They
we
probably
took
just knew
advantage.
you.
Yeah, they just knew us, and they were fans of us. So they wanted to talk to you. They wanted you to come. They wanted you to pull up. So you know what I'm saying? The network that, we felt like the network was there for us. And so we took advantage of it. But then if you look back at it, it's okay to have fun. But, I heard a lot of coaches, a lot of players say, don't do it during the season. And that's not what we did.
Yeah.
We did it a lot during the season. And that was a coping mechanism because it gets hard with school and everything else. So I would say that was the bad version. Great question. I love that.
Yeah, yeah. And then in the NFL, did you have anything that you would do on your off time that would like bring just a relief from the stress of just practicing or even playing games?
Yes, Mindi, you're trying to get it out of me, aren't you? You're trying to pry it out.
Trying to go deep.
So we would smoke weed. that's something that definitely a lot of players go to. But it's interesting because we would still get drug tested, right?
Yeah.
But the NFL gamed it to where they only drug tested you once a year. And it was right before the season started. So everybody knew when they were going to get drug tested. And everybody knew it was a theme to just wait until the drug test and then they could do whatever they want to after the drug test because they had a whole year. So that was a coping mechanism for a lot of players. A lot of players.
Yeah. Were you afraid of ever being caught?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. You had to time it. You had to
Mm-hmm.
time it. But I do think that my best seasons were when I didn't smoke.
That
My
says
best
something.
100%.
Says something to your health and well-being too.
That's right. You're totally right. So
Yeah. Tell me then just about the moments of you feeling like the self-doubt or the pressure. How would you overcome those moments?
then I would fight through them, thinking that it was sure will. Now I rely on God.
It's beautiful. I'm a Christian too, so I love that
Amen.
answer. So, did you ever feel like there was a turning point where you realized that you needed to do that? Rely on God instead of yourself?
Absolutely. That was the darkest moment of my life was from where you asked about it already, the transition from college to the NFL.
Yeah.
Since I was going through that turmoil, that was the only answer I could think of.
Mm-hmm.
And giving your life to Christ, you know when you actually do. And it's crazy how your life changes.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But you die to yourself. That's why your life changes so much. And then it's not like it's easy as soon as you give your life to Christ. It's not there. Now it's a test of obedience.
Yeah.
Do the rest of that.
Yeah, I can just imagine just the experience of like shifting from always like relying on yourself and relying on like it's your performance even that makes you somebody, your identity, but then to have that shift of like, oh wow, I can actually trust God and trust that my life means something more than just being a good football player or being in the NFL.
You're totally right. It's the better feeling anyway.
Mm-hmm.
It takes all the pressure off of you. It's like removing, like, you know how you feel like a tightness of the chest?
Yep.
It's like that relief. Or if you feel like you got something heavy on your back and then it's just dropping it.
Yeah.
Those types of reliefs you can't really explain. You just know you feel way better after that pressure's gone or that weight's off. And that's what it really is. It's what it feels like. You start to feel like you float.
What was your best highlights from the NFL, would you say?
I had a couple of highlights in preseason. I never played a NFL regulation snap during the regular season. I never made the 53-man roster, but I was on 3 teams. And then I was on the practice squad for the Patriots. But I got some, the 2018 season after I went through that whole thing, gave my life to Christ. A long backstory, I got sick before I got signed. And was a part of the turmoil that led into depression, that led into the loss of identity. From my identity in Christ, he heals me. I come back better than I ever was. Like, my body felt amazing. And through that time of the depression and whatever, I do think that God was trying to cleanse me because I went through a whole bunch of fasting to figure out, why am I, it wasn't even on purpose, but to kind of get through try to get through the sickness.
Yeah.
And so the fasting really helped. I did some research on holistic healing because I felt like the reason I got sick was because of just pharmaceutical medicine, just the basic grade, but my body didn't react to it very well. So I found a different route to try to heal. And then at the same time, I'm reading the Bible, reading scripture like every day, turning off TV, getting on my phone, not texting nobody back. But that was a cleansing process for the mind and the body. And so when I came back, I think because I was cleansed, I was able to put on muscle way faster. You know what I'm saying? The inflammation was gone. Nothing was in the way in order for me to, get back to who I was. So I came back great. So just to answer your question, my highlight is that after all that, after going through the sickness, after feeling depressed, I was able to practice in that same year, practice every single practice in the hardest, and this is actually documented, the hardest training camp in NFL history. Tom Coughlin, you can check back at it. A lot of teams, they'll go full pads 2 days out the week. We were going full pads every single day in Jacksonville, Florida, the hottest place on planet Earth. You know what I'm saying? Especially in August. And so I did not miss a practice, even though all that happened. And then my last preseason game, I played every single snap. And that was the highlight of my career. I just felt like I was coming from where I came from. That's when I knew I was like, yeah, I feel great about what I've accomplished here. It didn't even matter if I made the team.
Yeah, no, I love how you reflect on that, and you love how you just talk about like God and talk about how like that was your highlight. Just he really transformed your life. And I think that really shows that it wasn't just some coping skill or some major play that you did that gave you worth or gave you value. You just attribute it to God. So that's really inspirational, Tony.
Amen. Thank you.
Yeah. Tell me now more about your transition from the NFL to being a co-business owner. That you probably have some mental hurdles that you have to jump through too.
Absolutely. I would say more too, because football, at least you have a shooting star.
Yeah.
Like you have a guiding principle to why you're doing your daily things. When you're out of that realm, it's not like it's gone, but you have so many options. And then the only skill that you've developed is football. It's like, what do you do after you're done? So I've actually done everything under the sun. I sound like,
really? Tell me more.
So during COVID, not only the NFL, I went through like 4 different minor leagues too. That's the football journey.
Yeah.
And so after I was done with that, COVID popped off. No jobs are open. My dad still had a company that he was running. I'm saying, I'm gonna work with you. 2018, I worked with him for maybe a year. I start a lot of my own side hustles, and I fell in love with them. I was like, this is the best feeling on earth, because I have full autonomy of my life. I'm still making money. I'm still like getting to know people. I'm training kids to develop into these athletes. I'm not sure what's going on with COVID. It's all good though. I'm still making money. God has blessed us. So I did that. Then I was like, man, I really like training these kids. And then a lot of coaches from across my city, my hometown city, were like, bro, like, football's coming back. We need you to help coach these high school kids.
Yeah.
So I took a couple of those opportunities. That was amazing. But I was like the assistant. I wasn't the guy. I was just kind of watching and seeing and learning. And then after that, I built up the confidence to call my coach at my alma mater. And then I'm coaching in college now. I'm going from training kids, coaching high school, to coaching college, assistant coach, same kind of thing, understudy, learning, just doing a lot of paperwork. They actually let me go. They actually fired me because I didn't get the COVID. I didn't get the shot. So they actually fired me. That's a whole nother story. Yeah. That's a whole nother story.
Yeah.
So yeah, after that, I come back home because of the whole situation. They let me go. Then I get an opportunity to coach like my own position. I'm not assistant anymore, but this is in high school. And then they're like, but you can't coach and just be a coach. Like, you got to be in the school if you want to coach. And I was like, okay, do you have any positions open? And they're like, you can, we have a financial planning teacher spot open. You could do that. I was like, hell yeah, let's do it. I have no clue about money. No idea about money. You know what I'm saying? I was actually terrible with money, but they were just impressed with who I was. You know what I'm saying? And so they knew that I could learn and develop into being a decent teacher. And I did it. And when I tell you, I bet you $1 million that I learned more than them kids did. Meaning, like, I was the one that was getting taught because I had to teach it.
Yep.
And I know for sure I did my best. I can say that I did my best for them kids. And I do think that I impacted them well into learning about finances, because I was just so amazed about how much I didn't know for 24 years of my life.
Yeah. Yeah.
So much information about the Federal Reserve, about all this. So I ended up, just to keep it short, I ended up teaching financial planning there. And then my college hired me back to coach. And then
Okay.
yeah, so it all came full circle. And
Yeah,
then
that must
now,
have been so. I mean, just not to interrupt, but to interrupt. I
you
mean,
good?
that feeling probably it feels impeccable and phenomenal because just like you went from playing football and now you actually get to almost bestow it on other people and have that connection too with football at the same time.
I love that word too. I love that word you chose because um, your experience is valuable no matter
Mm-hmm.
what you've experienced. So if I can bestow that on a kid to tell them what not to do, to make sure that they don't do anything that would deter their goals, that's a very valuable form of teaching or coaching. And so that's where my position was. I had been, I won a Super Bowl with the Patriots, not because I
Yeah.
played. I was in the right position at the right time, but I still did, God allowed me to do things that were advantageous to be there, to be a part of that team. And so you're totally right. My opportunity was to tell an athlete that's developing, these are the correct, this is the reason why you do this,
Yeah.
because you can get here. And that was the most beautiful thing about it.
And you can have so much meaning too beyond that too. Of like you're not just playing for your own self ego or your own admiration. You're playing because like obviously you love the sport and you
Yep.
want to just provide meaning to it as well. So that's so cool of coaching.
I mean, you just keep hitting it home about it too,
Yeah, I focus
because
on the meaning a lot.
yes, which is good. I think that if you know the why, you even learn it faster if you know the why.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It sinks in way better. It's like soaks right in because there's a reason. There's a
Mm-hmm.
meaning for why you do it like this. It's so hard, and that's what the hardest part about coaching is that sometimes there is a gap in what you know and what the kid knows. So the most important thing about being a coach is with the C in coach, which is the communication. How well can you
Yeah.
communicate to this athlete? And not just on the field. It's crazy the impact that it is off the field too, how you communicate to that kid.
Oh, I can
So
imagine. Yeah.
extremely
Yeah.
important. But just
Communication is vital.
100%. And you know what's funny too? Warren Buffett actually said this. He said, if 80% of the population just knew how to communicate better, they would be, I'm butchering this, but they would be close to 100% more successful if
Yeah.
they knew how to communicate.
Mm-hmm.
Communication is key. If I can't communicate to you, so if I spoke to you in a different language, you couldn't even understand me. So how can
Mm-hmm.
I impact you? You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to, unless I have to do it like with a physical action or anything. But it's so important that you're able to communicate, to be empathetic, understand where that person is coming from, and then be able to process and figure out, all right, what is the best thing? What's the goal of this conversation? And then be able to deal, you know what I'm saying? You're dealing with another
Yep.
person. It's a lot that goes into it. Communication is not easy,
You just
but
described my entire job as a therapist.
and that's talent. Like, you guys, I can't lie. Your impact, especially right now, is insane because the world is so different and it's so unprecedented. Your place right now is like life saving
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to reel people back in to
Mm-hmm.
their meanings in their life. So appreciate what you guys do for sure.
Yeah,
100%.
it's so interesting because I always wonder this that like obviously you were an NFL player and you probably interacted with like big name people or at least like are in the same vicinity as them, but at
Hmm.
the same time they're just like another person because they probably have their own mental health struggles. They
Yep.
probably just have setbacks. They probably have doubts beyond what ESPN can cover. And they don't want to showcase that because then the media goes after them. And so they really don't have like a safe place to like really express and to just own that either.
Yeah,
So
man. And then
just
their
makes me wonder.
families.
Mm.
or seeing the fruits but not understanding the labor.
Yeah.
So meaning like they think because you're getting paid because of this, that, and the third, you're not dealing with that.
No.
But money does not solve that problem at all.
Yep.
Fame does not solve that problem at all. It exposes more of what you're truly deep down inside is feeling. It exacerbates it. It makes it um, whether it be good or bad, it just makes it irradiates it more if you have more money and fame.
Yeah, I heard someone say that fame is like dopamine, and it's kind of like when you get like that little shot of dopamine when you like find out someone likes your post or you get a
Yeah.
text message. It's kind of like that. Like it's like exciting at first, but then the more that you hold on to it, the more it can be detrimental if that becomes your worth.
So, what is famous to you? That's my question. What is famous to you?
Like people, or
Yeah,
like
like
what?
when you hear fame or
I,
say that you wanted to be famous, what would that mean to you? What would how would your life change?
now you become the podcaster. I think on the surface level, fame to me just looks like, that little check mark on Instagram saying like,
Yeah,
oh, this person's verified and well known, or someone that has like 1.4 million followers. That's like famous.
yeah.
But for me, I think what it looks like to be known is it's hard. I would say that if you're a celebrity with like high status, like throwing names out there like Tom Brady or Peyton Manning or some players that just have a massive following, I think it would be really hard to be fully known. Like they are
Mhm.
surfacely known for what they do and they're great at what they do. But I think at the core, it would be hard to actually be yourself or be authentic because at the same time, everything you do, you're under close inspection. And one thing you do
Mhm.
wrong, it's just your career is out the window.
Would you ever want to be famous if that's the case?
Um, I think it would depend on what the outcome would be. I wouldn't want to be
Mhm.
famous just to have more clout. I wouldn't want to be famous just to be elevate Mindy, but more if I can make a difference. Because I know some
Mhm.
famous people donate to charities, they help the homeless, they
Yeah.
make an impact society, and they like get involved in politics, policies. And that to me, that would be cool to be an advocate for something. So if I did get famous, whether through this podcast or even through my private practice as a therapist, then yeah, if that means helping out someone else. So thanks, question. Good question. I mean,
Yeah, I love that. I mean, that's you want famous. If you're famous, you can market things that are important to you,
yeah,
and that just from what you just said, now you the fame can spread more awareness and whatever you feel like is important. Your fame can reach more people. So I love that. I love that.
yeah, yeah.
What you
And I
said.
think there's always just my beliefs and values. I think there's always a temptation to want to be, I think, known. I think we all
Mhm.
don't want to go through life without being known. And that's
Yeah.
a natural human instinct and to have the sense of belonging somewhere. So, I
Mhm.
don't shame people that want to be known or that really want to have their own endeavor. Kind of like if you want to start a business, go ahead. Like that's
Yeah.
awesome. Just make sure your passion is your greatest priority and make sure you have the right values in place because I think that's what's going to take you through the end, not the benefit of being famous or the benefit of just having a lot of following.
Absolutely. I got one more question. Do you mind?
Go for it.
Would you rather be famous in your city, and let's say like 10-mile
Omaha,
radius,
Nebraska.
in Omaha, Nebraska? Would you like the fame, like people love you in your city, but hated by the rest of the world? Or would you
Oh,
rather be loved by the rest of the world and like hated by your hometown city? Which one would you rather?
it's so funny that you say that because my hometown is actually a very small town in Iowa that has like 90 people in it. So I don't really have like a hometown that like I know anyone because like I've moved away from there at least like almost 10 years ago now.
Uh-huh.
But man, Tony, you asked the hard question.
I know.
I would say probably it sounds ironic, but I'd rather have the whole world know me in my hometown, or like the people that know me just not agree with me or not like me, I would say.
Mhm.
Because I think if I got famous to an extent that the whole world knows me, I would want to think that I did something that was worth just people wanting to know me, and wanting to that I had the passion to advocate for something, or the passion to want to help change the world in some aspect. And if my hometown didn't agree with me, then I would just have to sit down with them one by one and be like, "Hey, like this is my values. Like this is
Yeah,
who Mindy is, and there's a reason why I'm doing this worldwide." So maybe
that's
that's not the
beautiful.
answer you expected, but
No, no, because that's Jesus Christ.
yeah.
Not to make it religious or spiritual, but the his hometown. You know, from Scripture, his hometown didn't accept his miracles,
Hmm.
but he won the world. But that was his
Yeah.
impact. His impact was more positive than anything else. So I love, again, I know I'm saying I love everything that you say, and it's not because you're the host of this podcast, but I love the answer. I really do.
No, no. I think what you're saying, obviously you can talk about God any day because I believe in him too, and he's definitely working right now. But
Amen.
what you said is true. Like, I think at the end of the day, we have to realize what's most important to us and why we're doing what we're doing with other people. Because
Mhm.
unfortunately, this world is not how it should be. There's a lot of sin, there's a lot of darkness in it. And I'm
Mhm.
glad that we have someone that we can look up to.
So based, so based, especially
Yeah.
in your field. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, bro, there, like, there is no, you don't have to search hard.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning, it is a search,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm not taking anything for granted of how people feel. I know it's real, every feeling. But if your foundation, if your baseline, if you come from that, it's, bro, it's like, talk about support. That's all
Yeah.
the support. You got all the support that you need. You have the support to help the people. And then when they find that support, when they feel like that support is there, like when they realize that the support is like the best support ever, it's it's beautiful. So I just, I'm glad that you being in this field have based so based so based.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, so just a random my personal question for you is, do you like talk to any of your old teammates, or interact with any of the big honcho names?
Hey, ooh, I have my best friend. Like
Okay.
me and him are best friends. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
SpongeBob and Patrick, best friends type. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then there's guys that I can always text or call that just because of who we are and because of what we done, I
Mhm.
can hit up. But a lot of my teammates were first round draft. Not a lot of them, but I had teammates that were first round draft picks, and then obviously all over the league. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, I can hit them up. Now I don't stay in contact with them all the time. I'm like my
Yeah.
dad. My temperament is I don't want to. I don't want you to. I'm not infatuated with the fame, but I don't want to bother. I know that you got a lot going on because of this new way of living. I'm not the one to bother you, but I do want to send them gifts.
Hmm.
I want to send them I remember when I was coaching my roommate, his mom would buy him some like brownie brittle, like very elegant, delicious. And I know it was my roommate's mom that sent it to him. Don't ask me how I ended up eating most of it, but I I want to do that for like my teammates. I want to just send them some like gifts, just say like, yo, like I'm here. I see what you're doing, and just know like I'm very proud, and like bro, like we brothers for life. That's the type of
Yeah.
stuff I want to do.
That's awesome. Are you more introvert or extrovert?
It depends.
Yeah, good answer.
Mostly extroverted. Like
Okay.
I never meet a stranger.
Yeah. Yeah.
Very interested in people. I love people. I have to be careful because I'm a little too big to people watch. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like I'm too like physically abrasive to like kind of be staring at you. So I try to hold back as much as possible.
Yeah, I get it. But and like everyone else, you need your downtime. You need to decompress. You need to recharge. Basic human needs. Yeah, but I guess one of my last questions, Tony, is for those who have aspirations to go to the NFL, or like for those who are chasing like a really big dream, whether it involves fame or not, what would you say? How would you encourage them?
I can break it down in 3 steps.
Okay, you are a business owner.
The first one is build a strong relationship with God.
Mhm.
And me personally, I built a strong relationship with Jesus Christ, which is also God to me.
Yeah.
So build a strong relationship there. That's going to get you through a lot of tough times. And his blessings are better than any blessings that you think that you can make personally.
Yeah.
You really can't. You think you can will your way, but you can't. Number 2 is find distinct meaning in your life.
Mhm.
How do you do that? Really study yourself and find out what makes you so happy that time literally goes by and you didn't realize that it went. Find something like that. And it could be in many things. And then this doesn't have to be in one area. Like your passion doesn't have to be your job.
Yeah.
I don't agree with that. But I do think that wherever you work, you should enjoy your work. You should not only you should thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah.
Find something you thoroughly enjoy. Like you are excited not even, I want to say excited because some days are mundane, but you're like, man, I'm wondering what's going to happen at work today. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. Or like, I'm excited to get this done at work today. Something like that.
Mhm.
And number 3, a lot of people are going to call me lame, but and it's really 2 in 1, but it's just stay patient and consistent. It will get really hard. But in that self-analysis, become very aware of your emotions.
Yeah.
The more that you
Emotional
understand,
intelligence.
boom. The more that you understand yourself, the more chances you have to conquer the world. So those are my
awesome.
3.5.
Perfect. Well, Tony, thank you so much for being on Mindi on the mic. Before I let you go, I have some rapid fire questions for you, if that's okay.
What's funny? If I said no, what would you say?
Then I would say thank you for being on. Nervous laugh, and I would redo it all. Just kidding.
No, I'm down. Let's do it. Sure.
Okay, ready? Go to pop-up song before a game.
Oh, anything Future.
Mm-hmm. Favorite cheat meal.
Chocolate concretes from Andy's.
Ooh, are you a morning person or a night person?
Morning.
Favorite movie of all time.
Spirit, the cartoon.
If you weren't a football player or pursue football, what do you think you would have gone into career-wise?
Music producer.
Mm-hmm. Dog person or cat person?
Dogs all day, every day.
And then finally, who's the last person that you called?
My dad.
Nice. Oh,
no, my sister. But before him, my dad.
Family still. That's great.
Yeah, for sure.
Sweet. Well, thank you so much, Tony, for being on Mindi and the mic, and I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man, this is awesome. Thank you, Mindi.